Guten Morgen. I'm talking from Cologne in Germany, and I've been here for a couple of days or so, and I've got another couple of days left here. So what I'm doing with my time is just making sure that the bike is all okay. We've got a few different tasks to do. I installed in a new oiling system for my chain, and I'm going to check to see if that's working. If not, it's not the end of the world. It was sort of a last minute addition which I had, and I just never got round to fitting it. Aside from that, we're off for a bike wash, and hopefully that's about all I need to do. I've inflated the tyres, I've checked the engine oil, I've checked the brake fluid, and a few other checks as well. But really it's just a little bit about maintenance today. And aside from that, we'll have a little bit of a ride around Cologne. So aside from that, I'll see you guys on the road. Oh, I better bring some more sponges actually, just so I can get into the nitty gritty stuff. Bear with me. So in Germany I found out there's a few different rules. One, you are definitely not allowed to change lanes. You're not allowed to split lanes on a motorcycle, which I definitely have not been doing during my entire time here. I've also found out that you cannot wash your car on a driveway or on the public road. It all needs to be done in specialised areas, and supposedly the reasoning for that is for environmental purposes, which, you know, I can understand. But what a pain! How are you supposed to enjoy a nice summer day without being able to wash your car? Right, so which way do I need to go? Probably this way. It's a nice little sea, Perth. So I know I said we were in Cologne, but we are pretty much next to Cologne. We are south of Cologne, and we are north of Bonn, in a place called Herd. I mean, I have been pronouncing it as Herd this entire time. So it's only a 50 here. But what a gorgeous day. A little bit slow. Come on. So something I'm not too sure, and I suppose I'm gonna find out in this video, is I've got myself a new mount for the front windscreen, and the thing which I've noticed from this is actually the windscreen is really shaky. So I'll see what the video quality is like after this. But I'm trying to think of myself of like ways that I can try and reduce the amount of vibrations going through that windscreen. And I'm just wondering as to whether or not if I stick a couple of cable ties just across the top of it, whether or not that will tighten it up enough to kind of like reduce what I'm seeing. I don't know, because I mean if I put my hand on it, I can reduce the vibrations, but I don't know if that's because it's attached to a solid object like myself. But maybe a zip tie will just give the stability and the rigidity to the top that I need to reduce that. And maybe that'd be a way of getting around that if the video is particularly bouncy.
not too sure how much of the music this microphone will pick up as well. Maybe we'll be in violation of some copyright laws down the road. Hopefully not. Or maybe my voice will sound completely horrible based upon where it's located, which is just underneath my beard. Or maybe you'll just hear me breathing a lot. Which is not too bad on city streets, because I don't find them particularly exhausting. But say when we start doing some off-roading again over at the Harz Mountains, maybe we will have our issues. Actually, the other task I haven't spoken about doing is actually messing around with the rear suspension, adding some additional preload. I don't quite know how I feel about that. I've got to do some reading, and it seems more of like a two-person job, so I'm going to have to enlist someone to help me. But it looks like I need some kind of meter ruler. I need to get all my kit back onto the bike, which I really don't want to do, because it's all heavy and it's a complete pain in the backside. But if needs must. And then use one of the spanners which Royal Enfield have included inside their kit to then tighten everything up. And then I've got to do a little bit of maths to try and work out how much sag there is, and I think we're aiming for around about 30% sag, depending on how much I put the bike down, and depending on what it should be like when it's unladen. So that would be a fun task to like read up and learn how to do. Yeah. And the other thing is sorting out the chain. And I mean, I best. Right, so need to be on the lookout on the left-hand side for our car wash area. So anyways, bike maintenance is a really interesting thing, because I do like to do things myself where I can. I think part of it is a learning opportunity, and I like working with my hands. But the other thing it comes with is the fact that you have a continuous worry that something will go wrong. Any additional sound that comes out, you kind of go, is this the end of my life? Because sure, I could get a fully trained mechanic to do it, but where's the fun in that if you can constantly live on the edge of your seat? Within absolute reason. I mean, I changed the exhaust on this one. It took us a lot longer than somebody who would know exactly what they're doing to do, without as many issues. Where is this place? Ah, there it is. Right. Or should I say, left. Well, this looks nice. I need to work out how to use this place, because I don't actually have any coins, which could become a potential issue. Let's have a look. I should have thought about this. Right, okay, so I need coins. And it's got a load of warnings. Right, so first of all, let's go get some change. Oh, what's this? This looks like a change machine. Yes, okay, so we've got a change machine. Wonderful. Okay, so we'll go over to the change machine. So the other thing about Germany is there are so many places where you need to pay with cash, or you have to use particular German cards, which is not an issue I have in any other country, to be completely honest. So it seems to be a unique thing for Germany. And I mean, oh god, these aren't normal coins. These are, oh no, these are like tokens for the car wash. And I've got 20 euros worth. Shoot. Well, I suppose if anyone wants to use this after me, I've got 3 rain. Okay, and yeah, that's worked.
I'll show you guys the tokens. It's just because I was around the corner. Right. So it's either I use 20 euros worth of car wash today on such a small vehicle, or I donate these to somewhere. But yeah, I did not see that coming. Right. So helmet off. Right, so let's be a little bit careful, seeing as we've just cleaned the bike. Let's make sure we're all dried off, and we can do some stops. So front brake looks like it's working fine. Rear brake's working okay. We'll just take this for a ride out, going very, very slow, seeing as we've got some oil on the chain now. It rides nicely. Yeah, beautiful. And it's nice having Quinton clean again. Although Quinton's going to get very dirty soon. Yeah, we're just taking for a spin, and then we are off to tighten the chain a little bit. It's just a shame that I can't work on everything all in one place. I feel like if I was at home, I just wouldn't give a, well, I wouldn't give a damn as to where it gets done. But seeing as I'm around a friend's house, you know, you've got to obey by the rules. You want to make sure that everything still stays okay with their neighbours. They've got to have a good relationship. Whereas I think in England, nobody would really care that you were doing any kind of maintenance on your car or your motorbike or whatever, as long as you weren't making too much noise. And the people I look to who are not into motorbikes or into cars and think that they're a nuisance, you're probably into your garden.
And I mean, if you're anything like my mum, you are mowing the garden at 8:30 in the morning. Which may not be essential, may not be at all. But in all fairness, when you like maintain these things, they remain nice. And I mean, with Quinton, making sure that he's maintained is going to be essential over the next 6 months. Because as we go through various different areas, I mean, we're going to be going through desert, we're going to be going through forest, we're going to be going on normal roads. But it's important that everything works the way that it should. Similar to how gardens should work. You know, do you just have a monoculture of grass? Or do you have other plants sitting in there as well which complement each other? You know, it's all very variable. Oh no, wait a minute, I forgot. You cannot do this in Germany. That would be illegal. And I'm very much a law-abiding citizen at the moment. So we're sitting in the traffic for now. But I never really understood as to why there was such an issue with filtering, is what I would call it in the UK, or lane splitting is what other cultures would call it. I mean, you take America for example, and it varies state by state. In France, I think they legalised it back in 2021, so it was kind of a bit of a shock to be able to filter over there. And I think still sometimes it's very questionable. That guy, he just broke the rules. But I suppose he's not doing it on camera. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see like how there are different laws in different places, particularly when it's akin to motorbikes. And I think, generally I think that filtering should be allowed. You probably shouldn't do it at silly speeds. I think the French probably have it somewhat right, and I'm fairly sure in slow moving traffic you can only go 30 kilometers an hour, and if it's faster moving traffic you can go up to 50 kilometers an hour, which seems like it seems very much reasonable rather than going a stupid speed, as you do see in some YouTube videos. But I'm fairly sure they're sped up. And filtering with Quinton isn't too bad at all. You know, he's light, he's nimble. Even with the bags on, it's quite easy to filter with him. Which is why the Himalayan is the gift that keeps on giving, so to speak. And I'm actually really glad to have this. I mean, I've had several bikes over the years. I started off with a YBR 125. And then I had a SV650 that was my first ever big bike actually, when I got my A2 license when I was 19. But the unfortunate thing is that I crashed that one. And then following that, I had this idea that I would turn a very old Courier bike from 1987, a VT500, into a cafe racer. But I never had the time to actually do any work on it. And it had a really interesting braking system where I think at the time they said that inboard brakes were the best thing, and essentially in the vast majority of modern vehicles you have disc brakes, and they don't have any casing around them, which allows the brake dust just to leave. But the inboard braking system meant that none of the brake dust left. So I remember riding it once, and the brakes seized up, and I couldn't brake. Oh, sorry, no. I couldn't move the bike when I was trying to get it out of the car park, and I had to go and smack it a few times with a hammer in order to remove the brake dust. So yeah, it was a cool looking bike, but I didn't use it for very long. And then after that I had a Bandit 600, and that was the first time. Oh, hello. That was the first time I'd ever changed an exhaust on a motorbike, and that was the most difficult task of my life. I did the entire exhaust system, but it had 4 downpipes leading down into one, and the springs were so difficult to get on. It was so difficult just to fit it all together. And then following from that, I had a GSX-R 600, and that is actually probably my favourite bike of all of them. It was either 2001 or 2002. I can't remember which. And it had this really nice thick back, and it was so comfortable, it was so fast, and it was just a real pleasant experience to ride. But unfortunately that got stolen, and then I had a CBR 600 which was from 2005, and that was also, I mean, that was a fun bike to ride, but it was thin, and it was nowhere near as gorgeous as the Gixxer. Like on the Gixxer, I never felt uncomfortable. The CBR, I felt uncomfortable after an hour, and the longest ride I ever did on that one was going from Newcastle to Canrayan when I moved over to Belfast. So would I go back and have a CBR 600? The answer is probably no. Would I like to run it around a track? Absolutely yes. Would I have a Gixxer? Absolutely I would. As much as they get so much stick online. There we have it. Anyways, I'm going to go enjoy this road. I am probably going to go grab a coffee and then chill out for a little bit and then sort out this chain, because there is a lot of play in it. We could probably make it a little bit tighter, and then following on from that we'll go work on the rear suspension, make sure that's a little bit stiffer for my fat self, because I think the bikes are designed for people who are around about 80 kilos. Well, yeah, around about 80 kilos, so you know, add myself, add my kit, add the luggage as well, and then you're looking at, you know, maybe like an extra 30 kilos worth of weight. And I mean, I probably should have done that a couple of weeks ago, but I think it was just the whole getting into the swing of things, staying outside as much as possible when possible. But it is a little bit of laziness. And laziness is something which I need to get out of my system whilst I'm on this trip. You know, it's all well and good being able to like camp as much as I can, but we need to make sure that Quinton remains maintained. Because old and maintained is better than new and not looked after. I wish I could go faster in this traffic. There's something fun about doing that. I don't know what it is.